Hola, it's Matthew here, back with Amy, the other partner in Hola Properties, with your latest property market update for March for Granada and the Costa Tropical. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much.
There's been some interesting changes and developments in the market over the last month. So tell us about some of the big things that are happening.
Yeah, I think one of the big ones to note is the new investment that the Junta is going to be making within Granada. They're dedicating quite a large amount of capital into infrastructure, into transport specifically. It's about 100 million that they're going to be investing into improving transport.
It's a fair amount.
Yeah, it is a fair amount. I mean, spread out over the province, we'll see where that exactly gets placed, but it is very interesting. They're looking at further extending the metro system in Granada, which has had a really big impact with putting Granada on the map, I think.
Absolutely.
Granada, it's always been a beautiful tourist destination, but now it's so much more accessible that it has... we've really noticed in the last 5 years, it's really become kind of a tourist long weekend destination, which has been a really nice change to see within tourism within the entire province. And then also down in Motril on the coast, there's been some really interesting changes there. They're going to be building four new hotels, so they're very much pushing that sustainable tourism, which will be lovely to see for the Costa Tropical. It'll be bringing people into our area, which will be really nice to see, and I think they're going to be expanding housing there as well, which is very, very important. There's going to be more than 1,000 homes, new build homes there, and about 400 of which are going to be funded housing, so affordable housing, which will make a big impact in the community because there is a bit of a shortage of housing in this area, especially affordable housing.
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be interesting to see how those developments go, because what tends to happen, of course, is as new tourism developments come, that tends to push house prices up.
Yes.
For the properties that are in demand for those types of buyers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also can have potentially kind of a negative impact on properties that are older, not well kept, not looked after. The buyers for those tend to fade away. So it's going to be an interesting time watching the movements in the market.
Absolutely. It is going to be a market to keep an eye on. I mean, even if we're looking year to date, we're looking at over a 2%. Sorry, month to date, there's been a 2% increase in the market. Year to date in Motril and Salobreña, we're actually looking like a 7 to 8% increase in property price there. And that's not looking like a bubble. No. That's looking like a nice gradual trend. So we're already seeing that the Costa Tropical is getting more on the map. Potentially that's a knock-on effect from Granada being put on the map.
Yeah.
It's so accessible. You really are looking at 45 minutes from Granada down to the coast. And it's kind of a bit of coast that's a little bit more chilled, a bit more untouched. It's not that intense tourism that you're getting up further along on the Costa.
No, definitely.
Blanca. So it's definitely going to be an up and coming.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on it. We'll keep you up to date with what's happening in that. So, thank you for that. So one of the other things I know that's been coming up a lot, and we're getting a lot of questions, are about the changes around sort of tourism licenses.
Absolutely.
There's been some interesting news and some pretty scary news if you're renting your property illegally at the moment. So Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, you should definitely be taking note and being slightly concerned if you've been doing things, not entirely above board.
Or illegally.
The big news is that they are going to be enforcing really some massive fines if you're not doing everything above board. You are looking at fines up to 600,000 euros, which, I mean, if that's not going to make you take things seriously,
that doesn't put people off.
I don't know what is. And especially if it's just something that you're doing on the side and it's a small property out in the sticks and you're not actually getting that much money from it. If you can then get fined 600,000 euros, that then becomes a really not a good choice to be making. They're increasing massively the task force for inspectors, so they will be making inspections to make sure that people are actually doing things legally and fulfilling the requirements And there is a new list of requirements that's been updated, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult to be able to get licensed on properties as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone at home wants a copy of that list, we have it available. So just pop a comment, send us a message below, and we'll send you the list free of charge. No need for that. I'll know to try and help you guys out. But yeah, I know the Hunter as well. One of the things that they're doing is looking at the properties that are being advertised on social media and seeing if they've got a tourist license number.
Yeah.
So if you're advertising your property on Facebook or somewhere, you haven't put your tourist license number on there, they're looking for you. Yeah.
And this isn't something new. I mean, a lot of people feel like this news is as a shock. But actually, I mean, I can go back a few years and I know people that have been caught out and fined locally because they haven't been doing things correctly. This is something that's been building up for a while. And it's something that will continue to, I think, gather a bit of speed. It's not something that they're just going to announce it and then forget about it. This is something, it's a change that we've got, and it's a change that's here to stay.
Yeah, I think the momentum's really got behind it. Absolutely. From what was happening in Malaga and in various other cities, Barcelona in particular.
Definitely.
About the affordability of housing and over-tourism.
Yeah.
So it's a big political movement now. So I don't doubt that politically they will be finding people and putting some big fines out there to put people off.
Yeah, absolutely. And just generally it's got more complicated. For example, now if you buy a property that had a tourist license, that doesn't mean that it's going to be transferred over to you.
Yeah.
So from the 3rd of April, which is when the new legislation is going to really kick in, you're going to have to reapply for that tourist license. So you can't take any property with a tourist license for granted.
No.
And especially one that's really interesting, especially if we're looking more down on the Costa Tropical, is that within communities, so that's flat blocks, urbanizations, it's not up to administration anymore whether you get your tourist license, which used to be the case. Now actually the neighbours within those communities are going to be able to vote and decide whether you're going to get that tourist license. So there's lots of little changes there.
Yeah, that's going to have a huge impact on urbanisations.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's quite a lot of confusion about it as well. I've had a couple of clients I've been chatting with this week, and even I hate to say it, even their lawyers haven't really been correctly advising them about it. Yeah. So it's definitely something to take a pause and get the correct information, which, absolutely, as you mentioned before, we do have that available.
We have that, yeah.
And we can definitely help with that.
Yes, so if you're aware watching this and you're not sure what the new rules are, don't hesitate to get in touch. We have had to help one out this week.
Yes, we have.
And correct them on their errors. So we're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Here to help.
And overall, Amy, what's the market like on the Costa Tropical last month? What's happening? What's the feeling in the marketplace?
The feeling on the Costa Tropical is really good at the moment. There's a lot of money that's being invested into several of the municipalities, from Almuñécar to Motril. We're looking at large government grants being pushed into both of those economies. And I think that's being felt, that there has been, we're looking at a 7 to 8% increase year on year. We're looking at 2% in the last month or so since we're looking January through till now. So that's all looking very positive and in quite a nice steady growth kind of way. We're not looking at we can get bubbles. Property bubbles. It's not looking like that at all, which is really nice to see. We're looking at about €2 million are being invested into Almuñécar to increase sustainable tourism there. We've already kind of mentioned everything that's going to be happening in Motril to really grow Motril as a tourist destination, but again in a good sustainable way. So I think it's really becoming an area to take note of. The infrastructure there is much better than it used to be, and the facilities there are much better than it used to be. I mean, if I'm looking at back Motril 10 years ago, it probably wouldn't have been a place that I would have chosen to go out for dinner, for example. Yeah. Whereas now, I would be very happy to pop down. There's some really great places to go out. The city's looking really amazing. And not just Motril, Salobreña as well.
Salobreña, we've seen a huge increase in inquiries.
Absolutely.
And a lot from American buyers as well.
Lots of American buyers. Obviously, the entire global political situation has changed a lot
Yes.
in the last year, and that has definitely fueled, especially a lot of buyers from California. I am noticing, especially there, they have a certain affinity for Andalucia, the climate and everything. There's a lot of there's a lot of connection there. So we've got lots of buyers from California that are really serious.
I think also because we're members of the NAR and we've got a network of agents that we work with in the US that helps as well, because they want agents they can trust who are licensed and registered.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of clients from the US, and although they could contact any agent on the Costa Tropical, they don't want to do that. They know that we're registered with Realtor, with the NAR. They want to work with us, and they're quite happy to, get us to go out there and look for the properties for them.
Yeah.
They like to have that one-to-one relationship with an agent that they know, they trust, and that somebody that they can communicate with.
It's understanding the way that the culture of real estate works in the US.
Definitely.
Definitely. Very different to here.
A very different concept,
So-
that has to be understood if you're looking to sell a property in these areas.
Right. Well, thank you very much for the update. I'm sure there'll be lots of new bits and pieces coming in the near future that is affecting homeowners and buyers in the area. So please comment on anything we've mentioned in this update, and let us know if there's any questions that you would like us to answer. We're very open to that. A lot of people do send us private messages asking for those, and we're very happy to answer them. But please feel free to put it down in the comments. That way we can answer it in public, and there's often people at home who are a bit scared to write in there. Don't worry, we're quite friendly, we will help. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon. Thanks, Amy.
No problem.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.